Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to the second Sequence Breakers vlog. I was gonna say something else, but anyways, I'm Koda,
I'm Sid.
and first topic of the day is something that's been very recent: Watch Dogs by Ubisoft, and particularly their decision to switch to multi-platform rather than just PS4, like a lot of people hoped it would be. Koda or Sid. God, I keep
Weren't
getting
they
your
saying
names
multi-platform from the beginning? Like, I was under
think
the impression that it was always going to come to the Xbox 3, or at least multi-platform in the way that it used to be, where it was like Microsoft and Sony, and
Yeah.
we're not going to make a Nintendo version though.
Right.
But
I wasn't. I
with Wii
wasn't.
U, huh?
I got the impression that it was going to be for PS4 only, but who knows? Maybe it was just lack of reading into it.
That the like the version that they showed, it didn't look like when they first showed it, when they announced it, it didn't look like it was going to be so crazy that you couldn't run it on systems we have now. So I never
Right.
got that impression. I mean, they
Well,
showed a new version.
right now it actually looks pretty darn crazy, but I'm pretty sure it can run on the Wii U at least.
Well, they,
I mean, if it can run on if it can run on the PlayStation 4 and the 360, then it can run on the Wii U.
well, the one they showed for that PS4 conference, it turned out that it was actually just running on a PC that was close to the same specs as the PlayStation 4.
Right. Well, with their plan specs, the ones
Yeah.
that they announced.
So yeah, I'm sure the Wii U can run that. I mean, the 360, like I saw GTA 5 trailers and looks pretty impressive, and that's
Right.
on, of course, 360, PlayStation 3.
Right.
Hopefully the Wii U. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
The thing is, something I want to mention is that we're not totally just completely loyal to Nintendo, like, or anything, but we just got the Wii U, so we just want to play the games on it as much as possible. Because
Right.
we've had like the 360 and all that stuff for the longest time, so we want to try to just play as many different things
Well,
on this new system, right?
it's worth mentioning that we do not have a PS4 though. So,
Yeah.
or no, PS3. Sorry, PS3.
Yeah, there's
We
a
don't
lot
have
of
a
games I
PS3.
want to play. Well, the thing about the PlayStation 3 to me is that like there's a lot of first-party games that I'm interested in.
Mhm.
You know, like, but the thing about it is that apparently just third-party games like that are multi-platform don't seem to run well on it.
Yeah.
Like Bethesda games, you know.
Especially Bethesda games.
Also, they also had the disadvantage with Mass Effect for the longest time of not having the first game. You know, so
Right.
you could only really experience the first game if you had a PlayStation 3 by doing a comic that just played out the beginning. But
Right.
That
So
played out all the
basically, they've announced that Watch Dogs is not going to be available just for PlayStation 3 and 360, but also Wii U, which I thought was kind of cool. It looks a lot. I watched the gameplay video very recently, and it looks a lot like modern day Assassin's Creed type thing.
yeah,
A little bit with hacking.
it seems like you're basically assassinating people though, because in that first video they showed you pretty much just assassinating that art guy for some reason. I don't know why you do it, but yeah.
Well,
You know,
there's another video that shows you
Oh yeah, you're also like stopping crime and stuff. Like
yeah, I guess you're like some kind of vigilante or whatever.
doling out crime while also being a nerd that hacks into stuff. But
Well, doling out
It-
crime and committing it because he
It's-
hacked
he-
that guy's he hacked that one guy's bank account or whatever and
like
took his money.
Something that's weird about like the interface that the hacker guy uses is when he scans people, like it shows random information of people, like it always shows just the weirdest facts about them, like HIV positive and stuff, like just
Right.
randomly, like there's no set thing that pops up. It's just like, here's a random thing that you can know about this person walking down the street.
Well, everybody has different security. Like everyone has. I mean, not the security protecting everyone's information and isn't always the same. So I'm sure there's a degree to which if this person was really hacking you in real life, like some information would be easier to find than other information.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing what pops up is just the information that immediately becomes available or relevant, maybe.
Like things you can leverage against someone, like.
Yeah.
I know you have AIDS. Or
maybe.
I know you killed someone.
A lot of the things like okay, you know in Assassin's Creed when you walk into a crowd in the newest game how like there's these glowing lines around you that indicate that you're like hidden.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a lot of glowing lines in Watch Dogs, which made me think it looked like a lot like Assassin's Creed 3, like you're in the Animus, but
Is it the same developer as Assassin's Creed? I know it's the same publisher, of course. Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft.
Well, yeah, I know, but they have different developing houses. Like there's Ubisoft Montpellier or whatever it's called, or.
Well, I think Ubisoft in general has access to that engine. It looks like Watch Dogs is running in the same engine as Assassin's Creed 3, so.
Of course. Well then, yeah. If it is running on that, then well, of course we now know that it's multi-platform, which is kind of weird because it's coming out for the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4. So, like, isn't that bad for your launch to have a version for a previous system on? Like,
I think they want to come out with, because they don't want to force another console on people. I think they're extra sensitive about that. They know that the newest console. In a way, it's bad for their new console sales, but it's good for their reputation with the public. I think the first couple games, the first few launch games, are going to be available for both systems, just on the off chance someone wants to buy them for the new system and not for the old ones. I don't know. I mean, you got to wait till November. When does Watch Dogs come out? Did they announce it?
Oh, well, let me see. Wikipedia, it's coming out, well, of course it's coming out Q4 of 2013, but it's probably just going to come out on the same day as PlayStation 4, most likely.
Most likely, I guess.
Am I right about that? I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, it's made by Ubisoft Montreal, according to Wikipedia, so they're the same.
Yeah, those are the same ones that's the same people who made Assassin's Creed, so.
Yeah, okay. Alright, well.
Well, I mean...
do we have anything else to say?
Well, no, like I was saying, it seems like that would be bad for new console sales, but at the same time, I guess they don't want to piss people off by making it so you have to buy a new... Because it's a game that a lot of people...
Why do you have to make me... Why do you have to make me buy a new console?
But it's a game that a lot of people are looking forward to, so I'm thinking... I mean... maybe it'll be the only cross-generation console game. Maybe they'll make it playable on the PS3 and PS4 from the same copy.
Actually, the funny thing is that the PlayStation 4 apparently has no backwards compatibility.
Right. Well, I'm sure if they wanted to, like, I mean, it physically probably could read and run the games, but there's probably just a system lock on it. I'm thinking.
Yeah, the same thing with the Wii U. We could technically probably play the GameCube. They just don't have the ports that they just don't even want to bother. Right. You couldn't play it anyway. Because you can't put in the memory card, you can't put in the... I mean, I'm sure they could probably make it so you could use the gamepad, but
They could, but yeah, it's a lot of extra effort. But yeah, maybe the trick with that is they'll release a single copy, a single version for Watch Dogs for the PlayStation, and it'll be playable both on PS3 and PS4, and maybe there's like a list of games within the PlayStation 4, kind of like in the 360. There's a list of games that are backwards compatible.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because,
Well, yeah.
and the 360 it can physically run all of the old Xbox games. It's just there's an internal list that it has that tells it what it is and isn't allowed to run.
Well,
So I'm sure it's the same thing with the PlayStation 4.
it doesn't run the games perfectly though. There are issues, there are bugs with it, which is why they have to have that list, because some games probably can't even run at all. in
Right.
Xbox.
Well, I mean, there isn't much with the PlayStation 4 controller. That's different from the PlayStation 3 aside from the touchpad, and I don't think that's even going to be a big part of Watch Dogs. I don't know.
Well, yeah, probably not, because I'd think that the Wii version should definitely use the gamepad. Seems like
Right.
a no-brainer to have hacking.
I don't think there's many applications for the PlayStation 4 touchpad on their controller. I mean, it's just a touch sensitive area of the controller. It's like that touch pad on the back of the Vita, pretty much.
Yeah, I know about that, but I don't even know what it's for. Like, what do you do with it?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't see very many applications for it.
I mean, apparently in Uncharted for the Vita, you use it for a lot of different things, but I don't even. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we're done with that subject.
Okay.
The PS4, the conference that they just had.
Is this appropriate for us to discuss since we don't have PlayStation 3, or do you think?
I think it's okay. I mean, it's gaming related.
I'm just afraid I'm gonna sound like a fanboy that's talking about.
Well, no, there are some good things about it, but
Yeah,
we'll stay
games
both.
look good, but Watch Dogs, of course, was playing on a PC, so
Right.
that was kind of weird.
I feel they really dropped the ball not showing the console itself. It made me think
Yeah,
they didn't actually have a console available.
It just makes me think that they just used the computer. You got to show the console, because
Right.
at least with the Wii U they showed the console. Like, they didn't emphasize it, which was the problem, but they at least showed it. They at least
Right.
made
Well,
it clear that it exists.
Yeah, maybe they haven't finished designing what it's going to look like or something. I mean, they told us what the specs are, what hardware it's running off of. They told us the graphics card, the GPU, the CPU, pretty much all the internal parts. They just didn't show what it looked like, which makes me think
Okay.
they have the hardware down. They just maybe haven't designed the outer box.
Maybe it looks something like this.
We just know it's because all consoles are taking the same turn where they're all black boxes now.
Maybe there's that and a little circle to press the button. You gotta have that, and there you go. We know what it looks like now. Yep.
Yeah. But maybe they
Yeah.
just wanted to go. Maybe they want to go for like a really cool looking approach or something, like a new design. And
Yeah,
they
maybe
haven't
that's
really-
it. Maybe they're just like at E3, just like it doesn't even exist. You just buy the PlayStation 4 and then we beam it right towards your TV.
Yeah, maybe. They have been talking a lot about a lot of, I guess, streaming consoles. It's weird.
Is the Steambox count as that, or?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of things like there's this Android console that they're supposedly working on. I don't know about that.
Okay, well.
I feel like it's too big of a threat to actual console-based gaming. Like the three main consoles to go and allow like an Android console or a streaming one into the market. I mean, they can't stop it, but I mean it. It just seems like 3 consoles is enough. I feel like more than that, and you're just kind of going overboard.
A lot of people like Apple and Android are like an actual gaming platform.
Right.
Of course it is, but like it's an actual, in competition with PC gaming, console gaming, that type of thing. But to me, it's not quite like that, because I'm sure there's tons of good games, but they all seem to be based around that just touchscreen with nothing else thing that I couldn't play only games on. I remember when the Angry Birds guys, they said, look, in a few years console gaming will be dead, and it will just be Apple games and stuff like that. But that would suck, because I wouldn't
we
just
have
want
no good games out
around.
there. Yeah.
I mean, we'd have fun time wasters, but I'm not gonna be like years from now thinking, it was really great when I threw that bird at that wall.
Yeah.
Boxes. Yeah. Not when I was playing Mario or all those other things. No, it was those birds. They changed the industry. They single-handedly killed storytelling and just tons of things, so I could just get some points.
All right.
So about RPGs. Okay. Yeah.
What did you think about the games that they showed for the PlayStation 4? There was Killzone. There was, what was that? Sorry? Infamous? Yeah, that's right. Infamous.
Oh yeah, there was also the one called Deep Down.
Right.
Which
what was that one with the thing? It was that little creature that was made up of a whole bunch of objects or whatever.
Oh, that was Katamari Damacy. No wait.
No.
That was, yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I know. I was just messing with you. Okay, let's see.
What's the name of it?
Or games, whatever. The hottest games coming to Sony's PlayStation 4. Okay. View photos in the gallery of the hottest games coming. Drive Club. Oh, that sounds good. Okay. Infamous Second Son. No, we already talked about that. Oh, Knack.
Knack, that's right. Knack seemed kind of a weird thing for PlayStation to do.
It looks fun, but none of the games felt like they were showing something that's such a huge leap from PlayStation 3. I mean, graphically better, but something that you...
But gameplay-wise, not that great.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they're fun games and everything, but not a huge leap from things you can still do on modern consoles.
Right.
As far as, I don't know what Knack will be capable of, I don't know. I think they want to show off something that could really demonstrate the power of what the system's capable of. And I don't know how they would possibly do that. Because I don't make games, but it just didn't seem like a huge leap as far as gameplay.
Right. That's another thing I wanted to bring up is people want to see another huge leap in gaming, and I have difficulty discerning what exactly they mean. Like, you on one hand want to see leaps in gameplay, but I feel like some other people who are kind of like graphic, I don't want to...
Graphic whores?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to be so direct about it. But, yeah, there's some people who are graphic whores, and they want to see another, jump like we had from N64 to GameCube or whatever, and...
With graphics, to me, all that really matters to me is the art style, the art direction, the aesthetics. Is it good? And does it all come together to make it look visually good? I don't care about, I don't care that much about amazing texture quality. I don't care that much about photorealism or anything like that. I mean, it's great to have, but does it create this whole world that looks cool and stuff? I mean, Yeah,
But it makes me think, is there a point where we're no longer going to have any graphic improvements? We're just going to have the ability to run them better, and then because
I heard someone.
how much more realistic can you get from photorealism?
It's just going to come down. Well, I heard them say that there's going to be no loading screens for PlayStation 4. Like apparently,
Right.
I don't know if that's true. I think I only saw that mentioned once, but whatever.
But we're almost
yeah,
at the point. We're almost at the point where these consoles can run games that look almost just like real life. They're just running like it's just the next console looks the same, but just runs things better. Maybe I don't know.
Quite. Faces just still aren't quite where they could be.
Not yet. Not. I mean, they're not like L.A. Noire.
Yeah,
Mostly.
that's the thing, because they could have shown in that Killzone thing. Like I saw the guy going down, and I saw the faces of the guys he was passing, and it didn't look that great compared to L.A. Noire, which is a last gen game. Like, oh, I know that was pretty much what you were playing the game for, mostly, just to see those
realistic faces. Yeah.
Yeah, the game, like the whole gameplay, most of it was just completely based around just looking at faces to see if they're lying and stuff, which is fun. Like it's a cool idea to like take something like face technology and make gameplay out of it. Like, okay, I got to look at this guy's face,
And to be able to tell if he's lying or not.
Okay. I mean, I've only played through it once. Like, I haven't
Right.
had a huge urge to play it again, but yeah, it was fun just looking at faces.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat mechanic. It'd be nice to see if they could kind of integrate it more casually into like a wider variety of games.
Yeah.
Like make it so it's not even a abnormal mechanic anymore, but just make it standard. You know, make the games feel like you're dealing with real people.
I mean, there's still the uncanny valley. There's always that. Where it's going to be hard to... Because L.A. Noire kind of did a good job of avoiding that with the faces since they were scanned off people, but the problem with it is that the bodies were still sort of... They weren't as detailed as the faces, so they'd kind of look...
Right.
Like, it was kind of weird in that regard, at least.
Right.
It was seeing, like, a real-life person's face just put on top of a regular video game character of that era, but whatever. Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused about one thing. I haven't been too much into the whole Killzone series. What is that about, really? Because they showed it at the the PlayStation 4 conference. So
You
you don't really know much about it either.
I'm not really interested in like that kind of shooter. Like I'm not against shooters or anything. I just like certain types of shooters. Like I'm not into Call of Duty or anything like that. I like something that has sort of
You like
there's
Portal.
Yeah, well, I like Half-Life. I like
Yeah.
BioShock. I like things where there's kind of I don't even know what it is. It's just
There's kind of some kind of puzzle behind it, in addition to the shooting.
there's charm to it because I don't like a lot of shooters where you're playing as this sort of adrenaline, muscle-bound type of character that's sort of like the frat boy type of guy or whatever.
Gears of War.
I don't like, yeah, I don't want to play as that type of character. Like that. No, I'm sorry. No,
It's just not appealing to you at all. I don't necessarily like those much either. I kind of enjoy Halo to an extent.
Yeah.
But
No, you love Halo, right? I mean, you've always talked about it. Like
a little bit less lately than I used to be.
my brother recently for his birthday got Halo 4, so I don't know.
I don't know. Well, okay, so we talked about the PlayStation 4.
I mean, with Half-Life, you play as a scientist, though he's not really a character, but at least he's a scientist, and you're surrounded by scientists. You're not surrounded by, like, soldier-type guys. They're like, all right, let's kick some alien ass, let's go. You're just like, all right, All right, Gordon, go inside the particle accelerator thing and let's see what happens, like that type of thing. And I like that. They're like the scientists and like the characters feel more real.
Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta
probably...
do. Okay, no, we can do this for recommended gaming. The Okay, so.
But let's not talk about recommended gaming without even introducing it or whatever.
All right, well, I can introduce it right now. Why don't you introduce it?
Well, I'm not even sure what it is exactly. It's just us. Recommended gaming is just a segment where we'll talk about a game that we want to recommend. It's like recommended reading, where you're just like, oh, this is something we played recently, but we don't feel has gotten a whole lot of attention exactly. So, you know, just send it your way and say, hey, play it.
All right. Well, hey, I've already thought of one. Do you mind?
Well, in the middle of us talking about PlayStation 4?
Oh no, I thought we're pretty much done with it.
Oh, okay, I guess.
Right, well, so you don't mind if I recommend a game?
Okay. What is it?
All right. Well, I recommend Black Mesa.
Oh well, yeah. Well, you're pretty much recommending Half-Life 1, but...
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is a remake of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I recommend.
I thought it wasn't done yet, though.
It's not completely finished.
Yeah,
they're still kind of. It's kind of like they're making it as they go, but they got a good portion of it down. Basically, for those of you who don't know, and your screen just got kind of dark. For those of you who don't really know, Black Mesa is basically a remake of Half-Life 1 within the Half-Life 2 engine, and it's HD. Graphically, it looks a lot better. It's a group of people decided to go and rebuild Half-Life 1 from the ground up in the Half-Life 2 engine, and they did a really good job of it too.
Damn fine job. So does it play just like Half-Life 2? It just goes through the scenarios of does the controls feel? Do they try to make it feel like the first game with the controls, or do they just stick to how Half-Life 2 plays, basically?
It's pretty much like Half-Life 2.
Okay.
I mean, the games are pretty similar, so.
Well, certain things are different.
Certain things are different, but yeah,
had like the sprint jump thing, or
right.
How did where you crouched and then jumped and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that they pretty much leave in, but.
Okay, I'm confused. Well, whatever. So you pretty much recommend that?
Yes, that's what I recommend for this.
Half-Life 1, of course. Half-Life 1, of course, is.
Sure, I'll recommend Half-Life. Along with it, I'll recommend Half-Life 1. If you want to play all the way through, play Half-Life 1. And actually, I recommend that you play Half-Life 1 first. That way, you do get the whole entire game's experience, and then go and play Black Mesa, so you can see the improvements that they make upon it.
And, well, yeah. And Half-Life 1 is, of course, when Doom came out, Half-Life 1 was essentially the next step in first-person shooter design.
Right. Wasn't it the first time ragdoll physics were introduced?
No, it had... You could move boxes and stuff. You could push them, but they weren't ragdoll. But you could just...
Oh, okay.
Side.
I thought it was. Maybe that was Half-Life 2. I'm not sure.
Well, they still existed, just not extremely mainstream. Half-Life 2 took ragdoll physics and just made it work.
Right.
But whatever. Yeah, okay.
All right, so that's this vlog's recommended game, Black Mesa.
For you though, what about me? Do I still?
Do you want to recommend one? Sure, you can recommend one, or we can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The game I want to recommend is Crimson Shroud for the 3DS. It's a downloadable game on the eShop, and it's an RPG. The thing about it is, it's visually supposed to look like a Dungeons and Dragons type of game, where all the characters in the game look like game pieces, and they don't have any animations beyond the fact that occasionally they'll move around. and they're on these pedestal things. So yeah, they're basically game pieces, and you essentially progress like a regular RPG, but it's essentially the story plays out like a novel. But it's essentially, I keep saying essentially, oh my god, but basically basically the idea is like they're kind of like a dungeon master who's doing this novel-like approach. If you've played Dungeons and Dragons, which I have not, but now I'm sort of interested in it because of Crimson Shroud. And you play as Yak. That's his name, at least I think it's his name. And he's like this mercenary, and he's part of this gang of mercenaries with his friend Lippy, or Lippi. Like, there's no voice acting in the game, too, so I don't know how
they're pronounced. Well, spell them out on the screen.
Okay, there's Yak. Someone said how you pronounce this name, but for the longest time I was like Jock or Giak or Giacu, or it's hard. And then there's Lippy, so Lippy, and then there's Freya. That's a little easier. That's kind of like Leia, and then she's the female character. And Lippy is he has a bow. Yak has a sword, and Freya is a mage, so she uses magic. And you basically just go through this story trying to pursue this item called the Crimson Shroud, and you go through. It all takes place in one dungeon. It's a 10-hour game, but there's also New Game Plus. So if you beat it, you can start the game over again with all the stuff carried over. Plus you get new items along the way, and it just keeps going on forever and ever. And the other cool thing is that you can upgrade your items by just getting another version of that item. So if you have like something sword and something sword, you can combine them to make a better version called something sword 2, and you can just keep doing it forever and ever and just keep making a better version of that weapon. And it's such a great RPG, and it's got a great story, and it's definitely something you should play. It was originally part of this collection in Japan called something, I don't remember. It was like a collection of games, but in America it was localized as just a single downloadable game. So it's $10, but it's worth it. Like, also, when you do, this is the last thing I want to mention, is that when you do certain things in battles, it's turn-based. So if you do certain things in battles, you roll like dice to do things. Like in other games, the dice is completely invisible. Right. But in this game, you actually physically just roll the dice on the touchscreen, and then it'll just say...
Are they like plain dice, or are they like those multi like 100-sided dice or whatever? I don't know.
They're legit like Dungeons and Dragons dice, like 20 die, 20-sided dice, and yeah, it's a good game. It's something I would recommend.
All right, so your recommendation is Crimson Shroud.
Yeah.
Sorry. And mine is Black Mesa and Half-Life /Half-Life 1, basically. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do something rather new, aside from the recommended gaming, and it's...
Well, actually, before we go to the questions, though, I mean, are we also going to talk... I also want to talk about the hatred Ubisoft is getting now. Because of the
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was recently announced that Ubisoft was going to push back the release date for Rayman on the Wii U so they can release it multi-platform, and everyone who's a Nintendo fan pretty much hates them now for that, because the game was basically finished for this month in February, and they just pushed it back for multi-platform. And yeah, it was pretty much a dick move, but a lot of people are taking it really, like, it's getting out of hand. It's just hatred all over the place on, like, Miiverse and stuff. Like, they were like I saw one post that said, Ubisoft sucks, Watch Dogs isn't enough, like, Rayman, release Rayman now and stuff like that. And they supported Wii U the best they could. I mean, it's gonna be better, but they just want to have some security, obviously, because they did Zombie U, just a game that we just have, and I like that game.
Right.
And
I feel like Zombie U was really underrated for. It was a big game for the Wii U's release, but it was kind of pushed under the table in the gaming community as a whole. So.
I mean, generally it had a better reception in Europe with European journalists, like reviewers. I don't know. It's a hardcore game, so if you're a pussy, like just
That might have something to do with the fact that it took place like in settings in Europe. So I mean,
to me, people were like, "We want a hardcore game on this system, and you can't get any more hardcore than Zombie U." It's a really intense game. It's hard. I mean, it's not super hard. I was able to do it because I'd say like something like Kingdom Hearts, like near the end, was harder than Zombie U, but like still, it's a hard game. But
right,
like the ending of Kingdom Hearts was hell. It was hell. Every Kingdom Hearts game has been hell near the end of it. But whatever. Yeah.
All right.
I'd recommend, but yeah, to me they're taking it out of hand because they are making Watch Dogs for the Wii U, so they didn't have.
Maybe that's one of their ways of kind of apologizing.
Well, yeah, they're also releasing a free they said they were going to release a free demo, like another free demo for the. Well, of course it's free at the demo, but another demo for Rayman Legends on the on the Wii U eShop, but. They one-up themselves. They're releasing the whole online multiplayer thing, apparently, for free, like, separate from the actual game. If you have a Wii U, and it's exclusive, apparently, so if you have a Wii U, you can just have that for free. You don't have to buy the actual game or anything. So that's nice. I don't know if they're actually going to follow up. They said that, but...
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, I mean, it seems to me like maybe they're trying to say sorry by making Watch Dogs available for the Wii U. I'm not sure, but anyways.
But apparently that's not enough to a lot of people, and they're just like, "Fuck you!" Like they're literally saying sorry all over the place. Like,
right?
They can't take it back.
And how often do developers usually come out and apologize publicly? I mean.
Like,
especially with Nintendo fans, we're used to Nintendo just going like, yeah, whatever, we did what we did. You're not gonna get an apology from us.
Yeah, Nintendo's done some dickish things, but yeah, well, I don't even know. But where were we going with that exactly?
Well, you were just talking about how they were really pissed off about it.
Yeah, they recently said that okay, never mind. I don't even want to go into that. Never mind. But yeah, because BioWare didn't apologize for the Mass Effect 3 ending. They lied a lot about things that were going to happen, that were going to take place in Mass Effect 3 that don't actually happen in it, and they didn't apologize for that. They're like, okay, we're going to release an extended cut that basically covers up some plot holes that we didn't fill in. But that was pretty much all the extended cut did, was just fill in some plot holes. Like, it didn't fix the dumb ending, it just fixed plot holes, basically. Right. They were like, oh shit, there are a lot of plot holes in the ending, we gotta fix that. So, yeah, and Bethesda kind of doesn't apologize for its PlayStation 3 non-support as far as DLC. It's just, we have trouble doing it.
Yeah, so. Well, that was PlayStation's fault. Sony's fault, I mean. But, they designed the console the way they did, and it makes it hard to develop games for, so. Anyways, do you want to go on to the question segment now? Yeah. All right, so we're starting...
You need to talk about, or is that the last thing?
That's pretty much the last thing. We're getting up there in time. Okay. All right, so we're going to start a new segment in addition to the whole recommended gaming segment. we're gonna start reading off questions that people leave on our vlogs or on Facebook or on the Twitter account. And well, we're not always gonna read all of them.
We got one question. Well, one questioner, or one person asked a question.
Yeah, there was a person who asked some pretty decent questions on the last vlog page. So we're gonna start going through those. We're gonna give them a shout out. And the person's YouTube name is Pokemon Nuzlocke. Creative name. And his first question was, would you rather want Nintendo to make a Wii U remake of Ruby and Sapphire or a 3DS remake?
You go first. Yeah.
I'd really like to see a Wii U remake. If it was ever a game, if it's ever a Pokemon game, I mean, up till maybe when do you think they'll stop making remakes of games, or do you think they're just gonna keep going?
Yeah, that's gonna be weird because I think, well, the remakes, the way they justified it was basically the first two games, Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, you couldn't connect them to the Generation 3, Generation 4, so on.
Oh, so you're saying their excuse was to make it so you could trade between games?
So there was some connectivity, basically.
Right.
To me, because I still have Ruby, so I can connect to my 4th generation and then pass those Pokemon on to 5th. So, like, I mean, it would be weird if they started remaking remakes. Like, here's our new release of, here's our Super Fire Red or whatever, or Flaming Fire Red, or.
Right. So my response to the question how I replied to it on the channel was, I'm sure eventually Nintendo will do a remake of Ruby and Sapphire, because that's what they always do. Once the game has gotten old enough, it will happen. I'm not.
It's actually a decade this year.
Right. I'm not so sure a remake has its place, like a full 3D title on the Wii U. I feel Ruby and Sapphire are more really suited to the DS or the 3DS. If they're gonna make a Wii U Pokemon game, they're gonna make it on the Wii U for the first time. I don't feel they're gonna make an entire 3D game based off of an older story in an older game.
I wouldn't want the first Wii U full Pokemon game to be a remake. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to like walk out of your house in Red and Blue and just full 3D, just like whoa, panning out, like oh my God, there's Pidgeys just flying in the air, and is that like Suicune over in the distance? Whoa, okay, like
or Ho-Oh flying above that Pokemon Center.
Ho-Oh.
But yeah, Ho-Oh.
That'd be a funny thing if they put that in as like an Easter egg when you're on the first route, you see like Ho-Oh flying in the air.
All right, so second question. Now that we've answered that one,
I haven't answered that.
You didn't?
I want to.
No, okay. I thought you kind of did, but okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, would you rather? Well, okay. I wouldn't want to. Okay, yeah, I guess I kind of did answer it, but
yeah.
To me, keep the games that were designed for the handhelds on the handhelds. Don't take the handheld games and put them on the consoles. To me, that's
the only way I could see one of the handheld games being put onto the consoles is through, I guess, sort of a virtual console type thing, or if eventually, for nostalgia's sake, they remake the first few games like in HD 3D or whatever, only for nostalgia's sake, like as like an anniversary type thing. But that would only be after they made their first 3D Wii U Pokemon game.
Yeah, I mean that'd be nice, but to me, you don't remake a handheld game. You only remake a handheld game for a handheld, and you're free to remake a console game for a console or a handheld, because have that old game.
Handhelds are getting more powerful now, yeah. All right, so second question. Now that we've answered that, do you think Sony or Microsoft will copy the concept of the Wii U? They put in parentheses, I know that Sony said it could work connecting PS Vita to the PS3, but there's a delay. I don't know what that's about. And the way I responded to that was Microsoft and Sony definitely will copy the Wii U in some areas. Microsoft has introduced Smart Glass. Sony is doing the thing like you mentioned with the Vita. Plus, they're introducing this new iCam thing with the PS4, I'm sure.
Is it like the iToy that the PlayStation
Sort of. I mean, I guess it's their way of trying to make up for their blunder with Move.
What was the problem with Move exactly? I mean, I know it was basically just the Wii remote, but
it was basically just the Wii remote, but it didn't work.
I remember
it's a lot less sensitive, and it misinterprets a lot of your motions.
Yeah, Skyward Sword would probably never, like something like Skyward Sword would probably never be made for the PlayStation Move or something like that. But
right.
Yeah, I played Portal 2 as a demo with the Move at GameStop, and it just would not respond.
Right.
The buttons worked, I can say that.
I mean, yeah. Microsoft and Sony have been copying Nintendo since they came out with the Wii, pretty much. Nintendo's been innovating the way we play games for a while now, so...
Pretty much motion controls and 2 screens, and full touch screen.
Right.
To me, yeah, that was a big disadvantage. To me, with a handheld, you kind of need some extra control methods, to me. Because I don't even know. I'm going with that. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling.
All right. So, what's your opinion? Do you think Microsoft and Sony are gonna copy or keep copying Nintendo?
Well, okay. The Wii was announced in 2011, right?
Right.
Okay, and the Smart Glass was announced like last year, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was, to me, that was probably just Microsoft saying, yeah, well, here's our thing. And of course, Sony was like, here's something you can do with the Vita, and it's pretty much it. Basically, they were just like, you could do the same thing, but for more money, and yeah. Because I remember hearing Sony say, but you can already do that with the Vita and the PlayStation 3.
Right.
Not well, apparently.
I felt the biggest question was if Sony or Microsoft would copy any of the social media aspects of the Wii U, like Miiverse.
Oh yeah, they have that on live with the PlayStation 4.
Microsoft might. I'm not quite sure if I see Sony doing it. Now Sony has
videos of you playing a game.
Right. Sony has integrated, or at least they're saying that they're going to integrate a share button onto their new controller. I don't know how that works.
Well, yeah, so, they're definitely having that. I saw that.
Right.
The share button, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to integrate it the same way the Wii U has, where they have their own social network, or if it's just going to connect to Facebook or whatever social media you use.
Do you think they're going to announce, like, really soon the Xbox 720 or whatever it's going to be called?
I think it's going to be announced at E3.
Well, apparently they according to a website, that they had a, what is it called when you obtain like an internet site or whatever, a website?
Oh, domain or something? I'm not sure.
They got a domain name. It was apparently called Xbox Event or whatever, and I think that's basically them saying, yeah, well,
well, they might.
Gonna have our own event.
They're either gonna do something next month or at E3. So.
What sucks is that Nintendo has those Nintendo Direct things, but they're not huge events that people go to and stuff. So to a lot of people who don't see the Nintendo Directs, like they probably don't even know some of the things
What's going on? Yeah.
that are coming down the pipeline. So they're just like, there's literally nothing announced for the Wii U. There's just these games that are out right now, but.
I mean, Sony might try to stay competitive by copying the Wii U's like social stuff. But they've had the perfect opportunity to analyze the Wii U's social networkings, and they try to improve on them, kind of like the 360 did with Kinect. Which is always, you know, kind of the disadvantage of releasing a console before everyone else. Is now, because the Wii U was released so early, they had the opportunity to tweak the 720 and the PS4 a little bit more, kind of, I feel.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. But then again, Nintendo doesn't really even acknowledge the existence of the other companies. They just like, we're the only game company that exists. So yeah, because with Sony, that like a top guy in Sony like bought a Wii U and said here on Twitter, here's my username. So like there's acknowledgement that, but like. Nintendo would, no one at Nintendo would be like, okay, I'm researching this new console, so I have it, so I'm gonna check it out. Here's my username on the PlayStation 4, so friend me. So, that wouldn't happen with Nintendo. They're just, we do it our way. We don't give a shit about the other guy. The only thing we care about is what the consumer basically wants, and apparently the consumer wants HD, so we're giving them that. But besides that, we don't really care. Oh, well, also, they want third-party support, so we're also going to do that. But besides that, we don't care.
All right. So third question from Pokemon Nuzlocke is it better to improve the graphics of the games or gameplay? Personally, I think that everybody hates on the Wii U because of the graphics of the Wii, but the gameplay of Nintendo games are, in my opinion, better. That's what the question said. Sid, I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say. I'd say there's a good balance. I feel for Nintendo, gameplay has always been the most important aspect of their games. I'm glad to see they are learning to have. They're learning to increase graphics a certain amount just to stay competitive. So to completely answer the part, I feel like there's a middle ground Nintendo meets where they have decent graphics and great gameplay, and both can only really get better from this point on.
Well, to me, Nintendo was always good at. Well, to me, gameplay is the ultimate thing that matters in the end because that's a game. But to me, Nintendo's always been good at making the graphics of their games just superb. Because to me, when the Wii came out, I didn't even know it wasn't as powerful as the 360 and the PS3. Because I saw Twilight Princess and Super Mario Galaxy, and I was like, yeah, these games have amazing graphics. These are on par with what I've seen. These are the best I've ever seen, actually. Like I was just like,
from Nintendo, yes.
I wasn't seeing. I guess because that was back when it was called the Revolution and stuff, but to me, yeah, I didn't even know it wasn't HD or anything, and that most of the third-party games are gonna look like garbage. But besides that, yeah, well, Nintendo's great at gameplay, and they're also good at making good graphics.
Well, I'd like to point out that what launch games usually look like aren't really a good representation of what they're going to be like by the end of the console's life. Like, for example, we had really crappy games on the 360, crappy-looking games back on the 360 when it first came out. Like, let me see if I can think of one.
I could probably say
Dead Rising 1. Yeah, and that like a lot of the games were just really bad textures. The characters look really blocky still. But we've had a huge jump since then. because they've squeezed every little bit of power out of those consoles that they can get now. And they've had more practice tinkering with them. I feel like Wii U is going to be the same way. By the end of the Wii U's lifespan, we're going to see a huge jump in what it can do.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, we haven't even seen what it can technically do. Because all we've seen is... Well, we saw the tech demo for the new Zelda game, but that doesn't really count. But we saw... All we have is Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U to go by as far as what Nintendo's shown. So, it's probably going to... Because, to me, if Super Mario Galaxy still looks great to me on the Wii, I'm just imagining what they could possibly do with something like that, and also the new Zelda game, when it's not even just a tech demo, it's the final game, like, what it's going to look like. Like, if you just think about that, it's probably going to be pretty great, graphics-wise. Yeah.
Alright, so the last question from Pokemon...
yeah, gameplay is all that matters, so, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, according to you. I think there's a good balance, but and Sid thinks it's the only thing that matters.
I don't want to look at something that looks offensive and ugly looking to me, because if something looks ugly, I don't want to look at it. Then maybe gameplay is not going to
matter
be enough
at that point.
I'm just gonna be like, oh god, because to me, I'm not like.
Okay, well, I say don't sacrifice gameplay for graphics. But, I mean, graphics are good.
Yeah, well, to me, when I'm talking about good graphics, I just mean great aesthetics and great art design. To me, good graphics can still be talking about, like, SNES, NES, just, like, that sprite work looks really great and stuff. Like, that's something I can look at for a long period of time without, like, it... But to me, ugly graphics is just, like... Didn't even look like anyone put any effort or love into this game at any point. So that's pretty much just what I mean about bad graphics.
Alright, so the last question. Do you think that Nintendo will talk about the second gamepad? Basically, let me read the whole question. Will they talk about the second gamepad in the Wii U, or do you think they are not ready to release it? I know that Nintendo has been working on it, but I read in my Nintendo news that it cut the frames per second of the game in half or something like that. I'm not sure about my information. It's a good question. Right now, there are no games that currently use two gamepads, except for one downloadable title in the eShop called Balloon Fight.
Well, that's Virtual Console, but apparently...
I mean, it can use... It's apparently the first thing that can use two gamepads. And Nintendo stated that the console, since they came out with it, and a little bit before that, they stated that the console supports up to two gamepads. And they probably did that with two gamepads in mind. They also mentioned that games using this capability would pretty much have to be built from the ground up with that function in mind. So I think there's a possibility that they may mention it in this year's E3. They may include more games where that utilize two gamepads. But there would have to be a substantial number of developers willing to do that and build the games with that in mind. In fact, it's more actually up to the developers than Nintendo. It's likely developers who release only for the Wii U will do it. But keep in mind, cross-platform developers have to make this for other consoles too. I'm not sure how a game built with two gamepad functionality would pan out on the 360 or PS3.
I'm thinking that the second gamepad, the gamepad you can of course buy retail separate from the console. It's not going to be the same exact thing as the gamepad with the console. I'm pretty sure they're going to want to make it available, because at the end of the day, you're buying a second version of a thing that can't do anything without the console itself. So they probably just want it to be as functional as a controller as possible. So they're probably going to make it smaller, basically. Just. Well,
I'm not sure about that, because I have seen, I've seen some things out there, people selling. I'm pretty sure we've seen a first few glimpses of retailers starting to sell gamepads alone. I think it'll be an option.
How much though?
A lot. It's like 170.
The console? Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, but that's because they're just not widely available yet.
Yeah.
Like they said, the console supports 2 gamepads. There aren't many games that support it. I think you'll have the option of maybe using 2 gamepads that are the same as the one that you get when that you got with the console. But I think they'll also release an alternative that's a bit cheaper.
I just think they're going to want to make a smaller one, not just for like a second player, but just for some people who just want something more lightweight.
Well, I mean, the gamepad's not that heavy. It's actually pretty comfortable.
I guess, but I'm just thinking that when you have a second player, they don't really need that huge screen, and it's probably going to be better for the system. They don't have to stream to a huge screen. They can just stream to this tiny screen right here, like a 3DS size screen.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, they might actually hold 2 gamepad functionality off until after PS4 and 720 reveal everything that they're doing. Because if they do end up copying the Wii U and use gamepad-ish controllers, I know that PlayStation 4 uses a touchpad, but it's not exactly the same thing as the Wii U. But if the 720 does copy it, it wouldn't be that huge of a stretch for cross-platform developers to build a game that uses a gamepad. If more consoles adopt the whole gamepad thing, then it wouldn't be that hard to do.
I'd actually love to see, because apparently hackers are working on a way to use your gamepad on the computer. Like they figured out a way to make the Pro Controller work on a computer, but not the gamepad yet. So I'd like to see maybe some developers just on the computer, just making games that can run on the gamepad somehow. I don't know.
Well, and as for the Wii U being able to handle it, I don't think that's a problem. It's no different than streaming 2 sets of audio and video to 2 gamepads than it would be to do the same with a TV.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, and it already supports it, so I don't see it really cutting down on the frames per second of the console, because you've mentioned something before where you don't release something if it's already broken.
Yeah.
And you use Bethesda in that instance. Yeah. But in this case, Nintendo doesn't seem like the type of company that would release something that supports up to 2 gamepads if it couldn't handle it.
Yeah, they're very much about polish, basically.
Right.
So even though it'll take forever to make something, at least you're going to be guaranteed that it's not going to have any problems.
Right. I mean, it's pretty much, at this point, it's up to the developers. I mean, if they make a game that's going to have 2 gamepad functionality, well, then it's going to have 2 gamepad functionality whether Nintendo wants it to or not. Yeah. So I hope that answered all of your questions.
All 4 of them. All right.
Okay.
Well, all right. Whatever. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. So, if you want to have your questions answered, comment on the Facebook page. Comment on the vlog.
Well, we're gonna have answers. These are just opinions.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily more well informed than anyone else. So.
Right. We'll answer them to the best of our ability, and most often it'll probably be opinions. Unless it's something you just haven't heard of that we have, I don't know. We have no special sources on this. We just answer from what we know.
Insiders or anything.
Right. Of course. So we're just answering from what we know. We do keep up with it. We usually keep up with the current events, and some people might not. So if you have a question about something we can answer with our opinion, or you're maybe just puzzled over something and we can help clarify things, feel free to leave those questions on the Facebook, the Twitter, or the YouTube page. And right as of right now, we don't have that many questions, so you have a pretty good chance of getting them answered on the next part. Yep. So do that. And we're actually pretty high up there in time. So, Sid, do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Well, then that'll be the end of this vlog. If you liked it, be sure to leave likes or comments. Subscribe if you like it. Until next time, YouTubers, this is Kodo.
Oh, and Sid.
All right. Later.